Well, there are two options in the world, and you basically only need to know two things about an option, that you can either buy them or you can sell them. If you started with the first option, which is a call option gives the buyer basically the right to buy the underlying equity or index. If an individual sells the call option, they have an obligation to sell their stock. The other option is a put option. If you buy a put option, you have the right to basically sell the underlying equity or index. If you turn around and you were to sell a put option, you're basically obligated to purchase stock. The overall purpose of an option is basically to take risk away from an individual. So you have the capability to purchase insurance on a particular equity or a particular portfolio that you have, and that provides sort of a safety net.
An option premium is simply the amount of money involved in the purchase or sale of an option contract. The buyer of an option pays a premium, and for paying that premium they get the right, but never the obligation, to buy or sell shares of stock. They can exercise the option that they've purchased any time prior to expiration if they so choose. The seller of an option receives the premium, obviously, and for receiving that premium, they do have the obligation to deliver shares of stock at any time up till expiration. They always get to retain the premium, the amount of money that they've received for the sale of the option.
So options are really priced based on supply and demand by market makers and other participants who place bids and offers in the marketplace based on what they believe is an appropriate price at which to trade each option. We have so many participants in the options marketplace, many hundreds of market makers, for example, on our exchange alone, that the options market really becomes quite efficient because we have a large number of different players providing liquidity. As far as how participants actually value each option, that depends on a number of factors. Certainly the characteristics of the option, the strike and the underlying, for example, the time to maturity, the cost of money, so the interest rate, any dividends on the underlying asset, and certainly and very importantly the volatility or expected volatility of the underlying asset. You can really think of an option as being sort of like an insurance contract. Like an insurance contract, when there's perceived to be more risk, there would be a higher premium associated with that.
Well, the options exchanges, such as the two that are sponsored by NYSE Euronext, provide a robust trading platform where liquidity providers, market makers, all types of participants and customers can meet and transact option trades. They increase efficiency, they bring liquidity to the marketplace and transparency as well. And on NYSE Arca and NYSE Amex, the markets can be accessed either electronically or via open outcry on one of our two trading floors.
The exchanges play an important role in aggregating liquidity and bringing potentially interested buyers and sellers together who then display the price at which they're willing to trade each option electronically on a screen or through an open outcry process on the floor of each exchange. And make it clear at which price an investor might be able to buy or sell each options contract. So by aggregating that liquidity, the exchanges make markets much more efficient. Even in cases where an option might be rarely traded, it's always evident by looking at the bids and offers disseminated by the exchange at which price an interested investor could execute a trade in an option at the time that they so desire. So central clearing is very important in options, and it's worth noting that all of the listed U.S. options exchanges trade options that are issued and guaranteed by the Options Clearing Corporation or the OCC. So unlike many underlying assets like stock, options are not issued by any corporation or by the company whose stock is being traded, for example. IBM doesn't issue IBM options, but rather they're issued by the Options Clearing Corporation. So the OCC is regulated both by the SEC and by the CFTC. It's regulated by the SEC in its role as the issuer of options on securities and stocks, as well as stock indices, and by the CFTC in its role as an issuer of futures and options on futures.
One of the biggest challenges facing the U.S. options industry today is the sheer amount of data that's generated. We enjoy a very robust, liquid, active marketplace. But the downstream effect of that is that a lot of data gets generated, has to be digested and parsed by not only the exchanges themselves, but all participants.
Over the past few years, you've seen a lot of the market volatility hit the retail space. If retail investors took more time to learn the benefits of, trading in the options markets, whether it's puts or calls, they basically are putting another tool in their tool belt to hedge a lot of the volatility and the risk that may be associated with some of their holdings in their account.
We dedicate a lot of time to working closely with the Options Industry Council, who does an excellent job in educating investors, both here in the U.S. but also internationally, about the place that options could play in their portfolio and making sure that they do understand what the product has to offer.